Hey everyone, today we're going to do a thought experiment and we're going to take a look at the spin of the Earth and see what we can find out about that. Okay, NASA tells us that the Earth is spinning up to a little over 1,000 miles after the equator, and the atmosphere is as if it is part of the planet. So to visualize that, it might be easier for some people to just imagine like the atmosphere is actually a fish tank with water. Okay, so it's going to spin as the Earth spins with the Earth, and anything on the inside here has to move under its own power. So that's why they say, because the atmosphere is part of the planet, that the spin doesn't help this flight get quicker to its destination, or it doesn't hinder this flight from getting to its destination. Okay, now I don't agree with that. Let's take a look at something here. These planes, this one, they're both going to be traveling at 500 miles per hour. This one is said to have 500 minus 1,000 because it's got that momentum working against it because it was on the ground. And this one has the 1,000 mile per hour spin working with it, so it's 500 miles per hour plus 1,000. So both planes get to their destination at about the same time. The flight that should be shorter actually is a little bit longer because in the middle of this frozen atmosphere, I guess winds are allowed to go do what they want as well. So that seems silly to me. But so the jet stream winds will actually slow this plane down a little bit, even though it should get to San Francisco in 2 hours if you do the math. Okay, now let's take a look at something here. We have a plane take off from Sarasota and accelerates up to 500 miles per hour. This plane came from somewhere else, some other planet. It's never been on Earth. It's hovering and watching their spin, checking it out, and decides, I'm going to drop in there and check it out. So it drops in and accelerates up to 500 miles per hour. Now, what's someone on the ground going to see? They're going to see this. Both planes are going to be traveling like this. They're both going to be going 500 miles per hour. One's going to be facing this way, the other one's going to be facing that way, and they're both accelerating. They're both flying their jets, but they're both traveling 500 miles per hour because the one on the top here that didn't have the Earth's motion as part of this whole gig, it's going 500 miles per hour, it's falling behind at 500 miles per hour. This one's taking off, and it's making ground at 500 miles per hour. So that's exactly what you're going to see. You're going to look up in the sky and you're going to see this. Now, does that make any sense? So let's take a look at the other option available. To stick with the rules, the way they're given to us, if this plane is not traveling, it's going 0 miles per hour and it drops into the atmosphere, that should be immediately pummeled like it was hit by a freight train at 1,000 miles per hour. Bam! It's got to immediately conform to this rule that the atmosphere sticks. So actually it would be hit from behind. Everybody get whiplash. Bam! It's going to move at 1,000 miles per hour. It's just going to get jolted. There's not going to be any slack. The air's not going to rush past it because that's how NASA has it designed. That's how they explain this similarity. When this flight should take 2 hours, this flight should never get to where it's going because the Earth's spinning away. So for this to work, one of those two things has to be true. Okay, either this thing's going to get pummeled, and 1,000 mile per hour wind, to visualize that, the highest recorded wind that I remember is 250 miles per hour in a cyclone. Okay, this is 4 times that. This is 4 times a hurricane, 4 times the giant cyclone. Okay, the plane's going to get shredded. And in fact, the space capsule, the Apollo, isn't going to be able to. It probably would bounce off. Okay, because it's moving so fast. You know, when you're trying to throw like something through a tire that's a bike tire that's spinning, and usually it'll hit the spokes because it's going so fast it just gets rejected. Well, same kind of principle. Okay, so I think it would probably bounce off. But if it didn't, it's going to get just pummeled at 1,000 miles per hour. It's going to come down, and it's already moving. Supposedly, it's like thousands, 10,000, 17,000. I have to look it up. It's a lot. It's going to have that. We'll just call it 10,000. Okay. It's not important, so you can nitpick me if you want. It's going to get 1,000 mile per hour smack, and we're going to have some bloodied up astronauts. Just as, you know, you can't get hit that hard. Nobody would survive. That's my opinion. Okay, So let's look at some other things that would back up what we're talking about here. Okay, now everybody's going to argue, the guys that like to stick with, that like their slavery and want to believe in a round, spinning world. So if this truck is moving and these guys jump up in the air, they're going to land at the same spot that they jumped up from. They're going to land straight down, even if the truck's moving, because they're touching the truck, and so they have that momentum that the truck is moving. Okay? So this is one of the things that NASA will say, well, it's just like the airplanes, it's just like being inside a train or whatever. Okay, but they're not accounting for something. Okay? Here's a guy, and he's got a jetpack. Okay? Now they all jump up, but this guy ignites his jetpack. Okay? These two are going to land where they were. The momentum's going to carry them, and they're going to land right where they were. But this guy, he's independent. As soon as he takes off and starts with his own power, okay, he's independent of this truck now. If he can only travel 35 miles per hour, I had one that facing the other way, but I lost him. Okay, so he's traveling 35 miles per hour, and the truck's doing 40. He's not going to catch up. He's going to slowly, he's not going to be able to catch up the truck. If that's all the faster he can go, and the truck keeps doing 40, he's not going to get there. Just like the one plane should not get to where it's going. Okay, so as soon as he takes off and is under his own power, it's over. He's not bound by the movement of that truck anymore. Just like a plane, when its wheels leave the ground, it can do its own thing. It will have to deal with the spin when it lands. It's not just going to be a non-issue. And so to illustrate that, we've got another truck here. Oh, here's my other jetpack guy. So this guy doesn't have to fly upside down. So he had taken off, and let's just say now that he went and he got his jetpack fixed up, so now it can do 1,000 miles per hour. But you know what? So did the truck. So now he's trying to catch back up to the truck, which represents the spin of the earth, and the truck just happened to pick up a runway. Somebody's in his way, of course, it's traffic. And so this guy's going to try to land on this truck, and he can only just match the speed of the truck. So he's not going to be able to catch up. So let's just say that the truck slows down just enough that he can catch up at 1,000 miles per hour. He's flying, but see, now he's got to land at, let's call it 50 miles per hour. Okay? But he's got to maintain the 1,000 miles an hour this direction. So as he slows down to land on the runway, he's going to be in trouble. Okay, and that's the same thing that's going to happen to a plane. Once its wheels are off the ground, it's no longer bound by the motion of the earth. Okay, and air is not going to restrict a jet engine from moving forward, through that deficit of this 1,000 miles per hour. It's ridiculous. Okay, so again, these other guys jump, and they'll land right back where no matter how fast the truck's going, they'll land right back where they were, no matter how fast the truck is going. But this guy, as soon as he jumps and ignites his jetpack, he can pass the truck if he's fast enough. And if the truck suddenly slams on its brakes, okay, this guy, if he was in a seat with seatbelt, he'd be all right. But this guy, he's accelerating. He's got nothing holding him back. He's accelerating, and if that guy's truck slams on his brakes, he's going to smash into the truck. Same thing, even if the truck was covered. Even if the truck was covered and the back door was open. Okay, he's flying along. He's inside there like a fly inside the train type situation. Now, if all of a sudden this truck just, boom, accelerates at 1,000 miles per hour, he's going to go right out the back door. He's not going to, this air back here is not going to bring him up. No, he's only going to go as fast as his jetpack. Now this is a picture, since I showed it, I might as well show it now. We don't feel the wind in our face of 1,000 mile per hour motion because we're all up to speed. But, the second we hop on a motorcycle and do 40 miles per hour, well, you start feeling wind in your face. So we don't feel it at 1,000 miles per hour because everything's up to speed, and then we add another 40 and it's windy as hell. So, go figure. Explain that. That's all. The thing that's important about this whole subject of flat Earth. Hold on a second. Okay, I want to stress two important points. Number one, some of you globeheads, you're ignoring where your model doesn't work. You're just ignoring it. You're all hyped up about the battle between stupid flat earthers and you guys that want to hold on to the globe. Well, the last laugh, actually I won't be laughing, but if you're the kind of person that really takes it hard when you're wrong, you guys are setting yourself up for a big fall because you're just not seeing the bigger picture. We are owned by somebody. Now, first of all, let me just start back with, you guys aren't doing real science, okay? If you want to call yourself real scientists, then throw out your model. You know the rules, okay? If something doesn't fit with the model, what has to happen? The model has to be fixed, okay? It has to be redone. Everything's got to fit. So you can't throw in a variable that doesn't work in all circumstances. I think that my plane illustration is a good example of a plane coming in with 0 miles per hour. What's going to happen to it? Either way, it's not working, is it? It's not looking too good. The most logical thing that we can deduce from that experiment is that the Earth doesn't spin. That's the most logical. If you were given this information, you'd never heard anything about nothing, you're from another planet, and they presented you with that, you would think, well, the most logical thing is that it doesn't look like the Earth spins. Because the plane can fly, like it's said. You can come into the atmosphere, like it said. There's no faults there. The only thing, and then backing that up, is that the plane flights both take 7 hours. Okay, that's pretty solid. And I don't see how you can get around that, and I'm anxious to hear how you do get around that. As quickly as I can say it, we are slaves. We are owned by somebody. Okay, every condition that you see on the planet is making somebody money. That's why it's happening that way. How are poor people making somebody money? They're starving, can't farm the land, but you can get millions of dollars of charitable donations and just, shell out a little bit to these people, give them something to chew on, and you pocket the rest, okay? It's making somebody money, or it would be fixed. Take a list of the world's billionaires, take a list of the world's problems and how much it would cost to solve them, and start solving the problems. You won't even touch their stack, and you'll have all the world's problems solved by noon. You'll feel like a hero. Now, why isn't that happening? Why? Because we don't have a real government. It's all a puppet show. A real government would say, hey, we're going to redistribute the wealth. Okay, you guys have so much, you won't even miss it. We shouldn't even have told you. We could just take it from the back of your accounts, and, if you didn't know any better, you wouldn't know it was missing. And all the world's problems could be solved, okay? Another good example that we are controlled, owned, that we are suppressed, dominated, is Stanley Meyer's water-powered engine, okay? Recently, a few years back, Obama was going on about we need an alternative source to oil and blah, 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 blah. Well, it's sitting on the damn shelf behind you. Stanley Meyer's car converted water right before it was injected into the system. He said he had an easy conversion that would work on any motor. All the motors in the United States could be run on water. Okay, and guess what they emit? 0 emissions. They turn back after the hydrogen is separated through electrolysis and burned. It turns back into water vapor. Okay, completely friendly to the environment. Water's abundant. Water is one of the most abundant things on the planet. So is hydrogen, which is an element of the water. Okay, so why aren't we driving around in cars that don't pollute the environment, that run on water, that any kind of water, salt water, piss, okay? That tells you something. It should tell you something, because they don't want that, because they want to sell oil. They want to go to war. It's their number one business, going to war. They get all your money. So here's how they farm you. Okay, now you and your wife are probably both working. I'm just saying hypothetically, I'm not talking to any particular person. Probably both of you are working. They made it that way because they're getting more from you. Okay, so you go to work, you're both working 2 jobs, and one of you's even working a double shift. And the first thing you do is give a third of your money straight to them for taxes. Now, if any of you are on medication, they get almost all of that. Okay, they're making this shit in their backyard and throwing it in a little capsule and selling it to you for $600, and they get all that. So you've got a loan on your house. Now they get all the interest on that, and what did that cost them? If you understand that paper money is just, it's just imaginary on paper. Okay, so they get the interest for your house loan. So right on payday, you and your wife get all your stuff together. You pay your taxes, you buy your medications, you pay your house payment, and you're broke. Okay, they've got all your productivity. They got the slaves convinced that they're free, and they got 2 of you working your asses off because you think you're working for yourself, but you're not. You're working for them. Okay, you are owned. This is not a laughing matter. The flat earth business. They found a way that they don't have to guard us. Look at the money they saved. Look, we just told them the earth was round and they weren't the center of it. We got them to forget about God. Look what they've turned into. We got them working like dogs. They think they're free. And all we had to do was tell them they lived on a round globe and they weren't the center. And so we started lying. And that's why all the numbers are crazy. Well, if we know that the Earth is 25,000 miles around, well, then that kind of dictates how fast it has to be spinning now, doesn't it? When they've taken it out of the center of the universe where it belonged. Okay, now they're stuck with some of these, and that's why the numbers are so ridiculous. But we bought it. We bought it. And now they'll tell us anything and we'll believe it. You know, it's like, I remember myself saying, it's like, oh, bullshit. Somebody was telling me a story. I'm like, oh, NASA did it? Oh, well, okay, well, yeah, those guys are smart. No, they're not. They're crooks. They're crooks. And they're stealing from you. You guys that are going to stick with this globehead business, you need to think about it. Okay? We're being farmed. Now we buy our own food. We buy our own house. It's like telling the slaves, it's like, hey, I'll tell you what. You're going to pay me for your house. You're going to pay me for your food. You're going to pay me for all your medication. You're going to work double shifts. And you can buy a home, but you don't really own it because I'm going to take it back whenever I want. And I get all your productivity. So no longer do I have to guard you. No longer do I have to feed you and have all that expense. We just tricked you into believing that you live on a round globe and there's nowhere to go. Come on, guys. Come on. You need to wake up.